next panelist, we have Malieek Cox here, who is a school counselor at WHS. And we have heard now a lot about the changes, the bodily changes, but and also the mental changes. But now, like, what do we actually do when, you know, we run into situations at home that are kind of difficult to navigate when you have a teenager? And he will share some of those activities and solutions with us. Thank you very much, Malieek, for being here. Maybe a little bit of background for him. Malieek Cox has worked in the mental health profession for over 20 years. He has a bachelor's degree in sociology from South Carolina State University. He obtained his master's degree in mental health counseling from Webster University. And currently he's in the process of obtaining a PhD in transformative social change at Saybrook University. His work experience, he does school-based behavioral counseling, adult and child protective services, and various mental health facilities and private practice. He's currently seeking licensure in the state of Hawaii for mental health counseling. Thank you very much for being here, Malieek, and you have the virtual floor. Maybe Samia can share. Yeah, so there's the first question. The first question that we found is, my teenager is constantly pushing boundaries. What strategies work to guide my child's behavior?
Okay, thank you for having me this evening. Thank you, Dr. Scott and Sarah. So the answers that I'm going to give you are probably going to overlap what Sarah already mentioned and also what Dr. Scott probably talked about as far as her developmental stages. But I will say personally, I'm what they call a systemic therapist, meaning that I do provide individual therapy with the child or family therapy, but I'm a big believer in community therapy. Everyone is involved, whether it's the parents, whether it's the coaches, whether it's the teachers, principals, etc. I've found that this works not only in my own family, but in other families as well. When everyone is on the same page, it seems to work a lot better. I'm a big believer in behavior contracts. Sometimes it takes a lot of work, but they work. I'm hesitant to put up an example of a behavioral contract because the best ones that work are individualized with that particular family. You can Google them, you can find them all day long, but I would advise you to devise your own behavioral contract when setting consequences or rewards with your family. Like Sarah mentioned earlier, natural consequences, whether that's failing a grade, whether it's not being able to go to the local grocery store, whether it's not being able to go to Fun Factory. Natural consequences are the best, as opposed to us being helicopter parents, whether, no, you don't get to do this. Natural consequences work better. In answering this first particular question, we have to, as parents, we have to remain flexible, no power struggles. When I mean power struggles, kids, they're masters at power struggles. At this particular age, they engage in those verbal power struggles with the parent because they feel as though they can win. So I would advise, whether it's mom, dad, grandmother, whoever's raising the particular child, not to try to engage in those power struggles. It's very difficult. It's difficult for teachers, difficult for counselors, principals, etc., not to engage in a verbal power struggle with the kid. But you just have to maintain calm. And like Sarah mentioned earlier, model good behavior. So yeah, I'm a big believer in behavioral contracts. So that's number one, Julia. We can go to number two.
Sure, yes. And I think that goes right in with that one. How do I communicate with my teenager, right? I have a hard time sometimes communicating with them. How can we break the ice as parents?
Yes, I like this particular question because I have a 15-year-old child, and we also have children ages 9, 10, and 11. And all of them are different. So us as parents, we have to show interest into what they're interested in. For example, I had one family where a teenage daughter was interested in BTS. The mom and dad, they hate BTS. But by them showing interest in this particular group, they were able to quote unquote break the ice with this particular teenager. They were able to accomplish some goals, her grades got better, et cetera, et cetera. So there's no magic wand, but some of it is pretty simple. If you just show interest in what your child has interest in, things will go a lot better. Personally, I don't like fashion, but my daughter enjoys fashion and arts or whatever. So she and I both attend as much art stuff as we can. And as a matter of fact, it has improved our relationship. And yeah, it works. If you just show some interest in what your child is interested in, I guarantee that things will be better in regards to behavior.
Okay, that's great advice. That's really great advice. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to know what they're actually interested in, but it's definitely something that we could seek out as parents and try to understand.
Hey, Julia, I got to interject here. I'm sorry. I was trying not to interject. This is Serena Cox. I just want to say, when it talks about getting involved with the interest, when you have your father that sits around and watches Project Runway because you're trying to watch fashion and be into fashion. So that's a classic example of how to get interested.
Right. Yes.
I agree with that 100%.
That's a great example. All right. Okay, let's see. The other question we got was, my teenager disregards rules and goes behind my back. How can I set and enforce rules successfully?
Okay, it's pretty much echoing what I said with the first particular question. Natural consequences are key, whether they're grades, you're not being able to attend a prom, you're not being able to attend a ball game. The key is consistency and not give in. I never really agree with the term good cop, bad cop. Both parents or both whoever's rearing a child are both good. Everyone has the better communication styles. My wife is better at certain things and I'm better at certain things. But at the end of the day, we all on the same page. So we have to be careful of allowing ourselves to be flexible and allowing different people to have different strategies. One thing I found that worked as well, and when it comes to boundaries, again, as a systems therapist, is to have everyone involved. If there is a rule infraction broken, the grandmother knows about it, the football coach knows about it, sometimes the teacher knows about it. And when everyone is on the same page and everyone has maybe even a copy of the behavior contract or what rules and fractions or what rewards are given because of A, B, and C are accomplished, you will be a lot better at the end of the day with that particular teenager.
Yeah. Yeah, great advice. Thank you. Thank you, Malieek. The last question that we had was, I feel disrespected by my teenager. How can I encourage good behavior?
Okay, first of all, we have to define what disrespect is. Someone may see eye rolling as disrespect, where another family or another parent may see using swear words as disrespect. So again, behavior contract, you have to communicate, like Sarah mentioned earlier, you have to have that dialogue. What is disrespect? This is what we tolerate. This is what we don't tolerate. If you do A, B, and C, this is the consequence of it. If you do this, this is a reward of it. It's all about communication, because at this stage of a child's life, vagueness is not your friend. You have to be concrete. Again, disrespect is this, because you may have a child, oh, I didn't know that was being disrespectful. If you have it written or if you have dialogue about it, there is no excuse that they didn't know that slamming the door was disrespectful, or turning the TV on at 5 o'clock in the morning is disrespectful. So you have to have that dialogue. It takes work, but consistency and dialogue is the key to this. Model good behavior. I think Sarah mentioned it earlier. We all get angry, we all get sad, we all get happy. We can't expect our child to act a certain way if we don't model what behavior we want exemplified. I get angry, You come back, you use I statements. I was angry that you left the door open. And this is my behavior, it was wrong. So you just have to own up to your own behaviors and model it for the kid. Be open and transparent as much as possible. And yeah, that's it for the last question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Malieek. So basically what you're saying is communication is key, right? What I'm hearing, communication is key to open the dialogue and then have natural consequences for unwanted or undesired behavior, and then also make sure that you are consistent with rules and what you expect from your
Yeah, absolutely. And you're being exemplifying, the term that we call empathy, that you're displaying empathy, you're empathizing what they're feeling by using I statements. You're not attacking, and so they can kind of relate to your feelings and you can relate to those feelings, and that builds bonds when you become transparent.
Right. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing this with us. I don't see any questions in the chat. I don't know if anybody has any questions for Malieek.
I do have one resource. I didn't put it in the,
Okay.
There's a particular book called Parenting with Love and Logic. The author is Foster Klein. I went to this training probably 15, 20 years ago, and I still use this personally and also in practicing with families and children.
Okay, that's great. If you shoot me an email with the title and author, I can include it in the follow-up email.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat as well.
Okay, yep, sounds good. All right, and thank you very much, Malieek, for sharing this.